Welcome back to Reputation at Stake. I'm Fisher, and this is
Pep.
We are on week 16 of the diet.
Woo.
And how many days is
Yeah, it's
that?
112 days today.
112 days.
Yep.
All right.
Of eating meat, red meat.
We've got a lot in store for today, so we'll go over what's the first thing on the topic list here.
Yeah, let's talk about how our weight loss was this week.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
That's exciting. So you first.
I'm first. Okay, well, I've lost 0.2 of a pound. So that's
Two
really
whole
good
tenths?
too. Yeah, from 302.4 to 302.2. So that's where I'm at, and that's not really anything to brag about. I think some things going on.
Wait a minute. Don't belittle yourself. Let's talk about those non-scale victories again. Like, you got to remember your why.
Yep,
And you also have to know the scale is the worst way to measure weight loss.
Right.
So are you still not snoring as much?
Nope, not snoring as much.
Yep. Able to pop right out of bed and get about and do whatever needs to be done.
Yep, I can get up, move, and go at my own.
Aches and pains.
Aches and pains.
Very mild.
I don't have any.
Or any, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you haven't cheated, right? You haven't had those donuts outside the house or anything yummy, right? So you stayed the course. You've only eaten meat, drank water, and of course your coffee, right?
Coffee, yeah. I've had a lot of coffee, and I think I might have to cut back on that, maybe.
Right.
Because 3 cups of coffee and so on.
Yeah.
Plus, because I drink so much coffee lately, because I've been like go, I have sort of struggled with sleeping more.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll actually do like
the second life of coffee lasts longer.
So I'll get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep instead of the 8 that I really need.
Yeah.
And then the weekend I'll just crash.
Yeah. Last week we talked about, bowel movements. How's that going?
Yeah, everybody who wants to talk about that.
Has it gotten any better, or are you still struggling? Because I started cooking the steaks differently, and I think I just,
I think things were good, but the last couple days things, haven't been great.
So it has improved, but it's not 100%.
There you go.
You're still finding out the balance for your body.
Let me give you some really good thoughts, people.
No, let's not.
Let's not go there.
Are you exercising yet? On purpose?
Not my exercise is kind of no.
So just not yet?
Not right now. It's coming, but I kind of sit down and I do an enormous amount of stuff with projects I'm working on, and then the weekend is kind of like already decided.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, I think there will come a time when you can't help it but to get moving. And I think when your body is ready, it's going to let you know.
Honestly, I've been feeling a little bit run down, and I should probably, I have time to make time.
Sure.
To do a few deadlifts and like start a rhythm, a routine. Sure. But there's been sort of like this part of me that's sort of overwhelmed right now.
Well, there's people who lose 100 pounds and they never lift a finger. Like, they don't change anything about their life.
Okay.
So I'm not saying you have to. I think it would be a good idea because I think our bodies are made to move.
Yeah.
But I have yet to do an exercise routine per se. Like I run up and down the stairs and feed different things and do all that kind of stuff. But, it's nice to know that, hey, we're 112 days in. We haven't even started a weight loss routine for weights and stuff. And we've still lost considerable amount of weight. I mean, 34 to 37 pounds. So, and that's without working out. So can you imagine what would happen?
If you.
Yeah. So, not to get too descriptive, but I noticed when you were getting out of the shower, your legs are getting really toned. Like your upper thighs are getting really, really toned. So it's interesting how your body picked your most muscular part, which is your legs, right?
Right.
And it has worked on shaping those.
Yeah.
It doesn't go after your lunchbox on your tummy, but it went after what little bit you had left on your legs.
All that exercise I've been doing is paying off. What it is.
No, I think your body, like where the most muscle is, I think it's easier for your body to lose weight.
Yeah.
So that's why my face is so skinny, because my mouth.
All that muscle.
All that muscle in my mouth. So yeah, but I mean, you still lost weight and you still won because you didn't cheat.
Right.
So I think all in all, even though you didn't lose 10 pounds this week, it's okay. I think it's a really lightweight goal of losing 10 pounds per month. Because 10 months, 10 pounds per month, that's 100 pounds.
That's 100 pounds.
That's kind of cool, And if you don't get that, it's not like anyone's going to jump out of the trees and bash you over the head.
But I think I can get it. I think I can get it. I think, it's just maybe more activity and maybe not allowing stress to be dominating, so much of my...
Yeah, well, after this week, that stress should drop off, right?
Yeah, I have a really big week coming up.
Big push.
It's 5 days, 4 hours a day where I'm in a meeting where I'm being grilled for another group.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not
that's
even
stressful too.
Yeah, so I'm standing in and
Yeah.
like So anyway, so then I guess we'll move to your weight loss.
Yeah.
This week?
So my weight loss has been 0.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because it's so easy as humans to say, I'm really in tune with my body. I will know when I lose a pound or when I gain a pound, yada, yada, yada. So majority of the week I've been carrying like forks, like I've just seen the scale go up, and I try not to weigh every day, and I kind of gotten more in the habit of every other day. I'd really like just to weigh like on Saturdays so that I can give my update on Sunday, but I just got to know, is it working? Am I doing too much? Whatever.
Well, 0 means that it didn't go up. So actually,
No, it went up. So we measure Saturday to Saturday.
Oh, I missed 20. Okay.
And today, which is Sunday, and I can't count it, I went back to my original weight.
Oh,
so
okay.
for next week, I have to start at this point.
Okay.
So I can't count this as a weight loss. So I had a weight gain. But I did do my measurements. And over my entire body, including my neck hasn't changed ever since I started measuring, I think 5 or 6 weeks ago. My neck size hasn't changed. I finally lost half an inch in my neck.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was pretty excited about that. That's pretty cool. So
that's pretty
just in this week, I've lost a total of 8 inches over my entire body. Like my arms, my hips, my butt, my thighs, like all of them added together.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about that because I think last week, a couple of places I had either gained or stayed exactly the same. And my saving grace was I had lost an inch in each arm. So I didn't expect my arms to be any thinner, and I think I lost half an inch in one arm and an inch in the other arm. So I think it's so fascinating, these non-scale victories are. It's so important to track because when you don't see the scale move, it's really tempting to try all these different things and not trust the process. And the process simply is eat meat when you're hungry, drink water. That's the meat diet. Now you can worry about electrolytes when you feel bad. You can decide to do coffee or don't do coffee, to do cheese or not to do cheese. But the grounds of the carnivore diet is just eat meat.
Eat meat.
Right, and drink water. So that leads me to, it's 112 days.
112 days.
I just so happen to be exploring a few options, checking out some big websites, like John Hopkins and Center for Diabetes and a few others, and just looking to see what the perfect diet is, because surely in 112 days we should be noticing some negative effects on our lives from eating red meat.
We've got several months. It's
4 months.
4 months, yeah.
So I've been looking at these websites and just finding out what they recommend the proper human diet is, because I believe in meat. And the very first thing they say, don't eat, because of inflammation, because I want to know how to stay away from inflammation because it bothers my body so bad.
You typed in what reduces inflammation.
Right. And so from these bigger companies, I want to call them corporations. I know that they're trying to help people have better lives and they go really far to study diseases and stuff. But the first thing they do is they demonize red meat, and they're saying stay away from red meat. Red meat causes. So I want to ask if you have suffered any of these in the last 112 days. Okay? Just general questions.
Okay.
Have you had gout in the last 112 days?
No.
And what have you eaten?
Steak,
red meat.
Red meat.
Red meat.
Red meat. And eggs and some cheese here and there.
And bacon.
And bacon.
Yeah. Have you had any flare-ups of arthritis?
No.
Have you had heart disease?
No.
Have you had a heart attack?
No.
Have you had a sudden onslaught of diabetes?
No. And I would tell you this, with the heart attack thing, I've actually felt my heart get better, which is weird to say that because how do you feel that? But the sleep apnea was a really big problem, and I was hearing ringing in my ears from
Yeah. Do you have that anymore?
I don't have the ringing in my ears.
You've had that for probably a year.
And when I looked at it, it said ringing comes from high blood pressure.
Right.
Well, that blood pressure comes from sleep apnea, according to what I was reading.
Sure.
So getting better sleep, removing sleep apnea, lowers the blood pressure, lowers the ringing in the ears, but also my heart was feeling like it was struggling. Yeah, weaker, sicker. I need to find a better word for it to describe it. Maybe restricted or something. And now that I'm doing the diet, I'm like, sometimes I'll just see how I'm feeling, and I'll be like, I'm able to breathe, and I feel like it's moving around better.
Yeah.
Now that's not science. That's
not science.
That's feelings.
Last question. Have you suffered with Alzheimer's? Because that is brought on by inflammation and high sugar. And apparently red meat.
What'd you say? No, just kidding. No Alzheimer's.
Okay. So on the American Center for Diabetes, or I forget what it is, but and John Hopkins, it says in order to get over these things, the very first thing you should get rid of is red meat.
To get rid of inflammation.
To get rid of inflammation, to feel better, or to even just slow down these diseases and then take a whole host of pills. And what I'm finding is there's a slight chance they might be wrong. I know I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I'm willing to experiment on my own body. And I'm not saying go out and quit all your drugs, okay? You need to talk to your doctor and all that fun stuff. But if you are suffering with gout, inflammation, arthritis, diabetes, even have heart disease and that kind of stuff, you might want to consider maybe trying carnivore for 60 to 90 days, 112 days. I mean,
I heard Dr. Eric Berg say, he's one of the guys that talk on YouTube a lot about different things that are interesting, and he's really well-produced videos. And I heard him today on one of his videos say, because he was talking about bone broth, right?
Yeah.
He was saying, just as a side thought, in general, when there's a lot of controversy over a topic like carnivore or other things, people argue, is, sometimes you got to go find out for yourself what it feels like for a little while before you say that you've decided because some book told you or some website. You should listen to some of that, right? But you need to be able to have like a body of evidence to help you make a decision.
Right.
And sometimes that is you trying it out.
Right. Yeah. I think humanly, you trying it out is the best way to find out. But we were also curious if there were other people who might have lived carnivore, and we've mentioned them in the past in other videos.
Yeah.
But just to remind you that there are the Inuit up in Alaska, the Maasai.
Yeah, Maisie maybe?
In East Africa.
Yeah.
They all have a diet that revolves around consumption of milk, blood, and meat. Mongolian nomads, they eat meat and dairy.
You don't have to drink blood, by the way.
Yeah.
So, just so you know.
The first people of America, American Indians, they were a part of the hunter-gatherer society. And then number 5 is my favorite. Carnivore diet enthusiasts. We have done quick evolution where we have taught, we're getting a kitty. We have taught our bodies to, this is Snickerdoodle, by the way.
Yeah. She looks like an Oreo, but still.
We have helped our bodies adapt to the carnivore diet. We have done super fast evolution. Because we have adapted to meat and micro. In 112 days, we've gone from being able to eat fruit and veg to living solely off of meat. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Also wanted to note, I looked really quickly at cave drawings, and I didn't see one of fields of barley and wheat. They were all like bison and rhinoceros or mammoths. They weren't of, berries and fruits and vegetables, okay? They were of meat. So I wonder if, prehistoric caveman, if you don't believe in God and the flood, if you believe in the prehistorics, if they might have lived off of a diet mostly of meat.
Oh, yeah, because before we did the talk today, like we were online, and I use ChatGPT a lot, so I just kind of had a quick conversation to find out. And it was like, I'll get the numbers wrong, but it's something along the lines of so many, was it gallons of strawberries?
Oh, yeah, you need 440 strawberries to make 2,000 calories.
Right, which is about 2.5 gallons.
Yeah.
You could round it up to 3.
Yeah.
So
or 22 bananas.
22 bananas.
Or a pound of wheat.
2,000, not even 3,000.
Yeah, 2,000
calories, right? Which is the daily recommended. Not that we're going to go off that, but
yeah.
So 20 bananas. What was the other one?
A pound of wheat for bread.
Okay, so what's interesting is when you switch from fruits over to bread, grain, 1 pound of wheat, they were saying, equals 1 loaf of bread, right? Which is about over 2,000 calories for. So if you ate 1 whole loaf of bread in one day, you've reduced it down from 20 bananas
22 bananas.
22 bananas.
Yeah.
And
Down to 1 pound.
2.5 gallons of strawberries. You've got it down to 1 loaf of bread per day. If you were just thinking this out loud.
If you were a nomadic tribesman
moving
going across the plains, what would be easiest food to get?
Right. And
to
then
get calorie dense.
Milk is about, because we're talking about raw milk, because they didn't have with the stuff we have.
Pasteurized and 1%.
So raw milk would have been, it's like 3/4 of our milk plus heavy whipping cream was about what raw milk's calories would be as a guess. And so in other words, 1 gallon of milk per day would equal 2,900 calories. So that's actually pretty good. And then meat was like
2.25 pounds to get 2,000 calories.
Yeah, 2.25 pounds to get, So what you're saying, I think it's really neat to be able to see the volume of fruits, then the volume of grain, and then the volume of meat to get that same calorie intake, right?
Excuse me.
And then honey. You mentioned honey. We never did look up.
Oh, we never did look up honey.
Because milk and honey is a concept that goes.
And the land flowing with milk and honey.
Yeah, it's in ancient times, right? Milk and honey is a big deal. So if you needed to get 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day and you had milk and honey, you'd be like, you'd have it.
Yeah, you'd be set.
Probably very active.
So I wonder why all of a sudden in modern day, when we have all this knowledge and all the ways to study foods and fruits and vegetables and human life and the past, the present, and possibly even our future, why we're still demonizing meat when I believe it was pretty easy to get meat most of the time.
Right. And okay, so this is really interesting. Whenever you go to ChatGPT and you type in, so what's the difference between the Inuit and American diet, the people, or what's the difference between the Plains Indians and what about all those throughout history? I asked about this. And the response common for all three groups, if not all of the other ones you mentioned, was that those people are special because they had adapted a new way to be able to digest meat that like the Americans don't have today. And I thought, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They're human beings and they're alive today and they're still digesting. Okay, so I can almost hear it in my mind. There are people who can digest certain cheeses and milks and others can't. So I get that there are genetics and adaptation. What I'm talking about is to put a big umbrella over the group and say they can have meat, and it says they can eat seal meat and fat and whale meat and fat. And then it said because they eat healthy fat. It literally said that. It said they eat healthy fat. And I'm like, well, healthy fat is fat from those animals that it just said that they're eating.
Yeah.
Seals and whales. And I get we're not eating that. But it's animal fat, right? So why are you calling fat from cows or whatever, unhealthy fat? The unhealthy fat, the true unhealthy fat is the stuff in processed food and so on.
Which I think, when you hear of someone eating a hamburger, you might think either they're at a home barbecue, or you don't need to do that on camera. I mean, my goodness. Either at a home barbecue or they're going through fast food, which, okay, let's take a look at what Randy would, if Randy was not carnivore, what would you eat for fast food?
Okay, so if I went to McDonald's or something like that, and I was going to order something, I'd probably get a quarter pounder, which, and a drink and a fry. That's how I used to.
So it's just a quarter pound of meat, right? What's wrong with that meal?
Just a quarter pound. I'm a meat eater. See, quarter pounder meat.
They don't demonize the ketchup, the
onions.
Oh, she bit me. Yeah. Well, I don't know if onions are all that bad. They're probably the most natural thing besides, I don't even know it. But
onions, pickles, ketchup, mustard, and then the 2 pieces of bread, and then a big old soda and a bunch of fries.
Right.
That are actually like styrofoam as soon as they get cold.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So instead of checking out what of those might cause, I wonder if, I wonder if those are the real things that are causing people to be sick, is all the extra stuff. It's not actually the meat. I wonder if they're considering that in their trials.
Right.
Okay, let's look at someone who cooks from home all the time. I was raised with very homegrown basics like lasagna. Randy, what's in a plate of lasagna? How do you make lasagna?
First, you get a can of tomato sauce, and then you get a can of lasagna, and you just put it all together and you heat it up.
Right, close enough, right?
Yeah.
So in lasagna, you have noodles, tomato sauce, some spices, ricotta cheese, meat. Did I say noodles? You put a lot of noodles.
Bunch of noodles.
Bunch of noodles. So I wonder if why they demonize red meat so much is if they're only looking at the fact that hamburgers have red meat, lasagna has red meat, shepherd's pie has red meat, therefore it must be the red meat that's making us sick, instead of going, because we would eat shepherd's pie, which is cream corn, red meat, beef, onions, covered in potatoes, and if we were really lucky, we'd put cheese on top. It's so delicious. And yet eating what I would call kind of like farm foods, what farm to table is essentially, and why, when I eat like that today, why I'm not healthy.
Right. Yeah. Why do they blame the meat instead of the noodles and all the condiments and all the other stuff that is used around the meat? Why do they blame the meat for inflammation?
Yeah.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
And if you were to eat that without the meat, you would have probably all the same symptoms.
I would love if anyone wants to do a control group and have it run by scientists or something like that. That would be so much fun. Like,
right.
I would love to do control groups. You have your diehard vegans, your diehard carnivores, your American diet who's never going to follow any diet ever. Let's all get our blood tests. Let's all come back every month. And it could be anonymous. You don't have to say your name. But just have this giant Google Doc that some doctor could read and then really find out what is the real average. Like, do carnivores need to be treated different than a vegan? Do we have more, like...
cholesterol.
Yeah, well, obviously we do, right?
Yeah.
Obviously we do.
Yeah.
But
it's a good thing.
But it would just be fascinating.
Yeah.
It would be really cool if a doctor would do that, and then they could say, because I know so many people will take a meat eater and they'll draw their blood, and then they love to show the fat floating on the blood, and it's like, yeah, you're supposed to have fat and cholesterol flowing through your body. That's why breast milk is made out of fat, cholesterol, protein.
Right.
I mean, you can't get a more perfect diet than what God gave a mom to feed a baby.
Right.
Not that I want to drink breast milk. I don't. It's just fascinating, though. And then we demonize fat, cholesterol, and protein when it helps build your body, but we shouldn't get our meat protein from animals. We should get it from vegetables.
Oh, my goodness.
It blows my mind, and I know that if you're not going to do carnivore, that's fine. I still love you. I just want to put it out there that if you're feeling fat, sick, and nearly dead, you might want to give carnivore a try. I try it up to 90 days. I know at 112 days, I'm planning on doing this for a lot longer. I love the fact my body's shrinking. Finally getting compliments on my face from my coworkers, and they don't give compliments easily, like nobody does. And in the last meeting I was at, they're like, I got a text while the broker was talking. One of the agents was like, "Hey, your face is looking really skinny," and I'm like, "You made my day." That made me feel so good because, I want people to know I'm healthier.
Yeah.
I'm not fat, sick, and nearly dead and giving up on life anymore. So, anyways, I just want to put it out there. Like, why demonize red meat? Like, is it really the demon that people think it is, or is it sugar?
Yeah, the grain industry in the 70s.
Sugar, like
pushing cereal over.
Men in Black. I need sugar.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Forgot about that. Yeah. But yeah,
in the 70s and 80s.
In the 70s and 80s, they had that whole study, and there was a huge push towards fighting against fat and people having, their the balloon surgery, and they had cholesterol in their arteries. And there was a huge push towards like you should have fat free. In the 90s, our family did it, fat free, and they were drinking Diet Coke and getting fat free everything, but turns out fat wasn't the problem. It was the mixing of fat with the carbs, with the sugars, that was causing the backups. And so if you get rid of all the stuff that goes bad with fat, then fat becomes, I almost want to say inert, but no longer dangerous.
Well, our bodies were made to process fat because it's all natural.
Right. And this is like the only diet I've ever had where I'm like happy.
Yeah. And not hungry after you eat. There's nothing worse than, we were talking even about chicken. Chicken's meat, right? And so we'll get a rotisserie chicken when I go to Sam's, and we have this big old meal, and we can eat as much as we want. I don't limit it. And about an hour and a half later, I'm looking for my steak.
Yeah.
I don't know why red meat's a little more satiating than white meat, but
so
down 8 inches, you're down 2/10 of a pound, one fifth of a pound. I'm down nothing. I'm up 4.
Yeah, it's like the train. I think I can.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to get over that.
Okay, I will take 8 inches off my body over weight loss.
Oh, really?
Like, if I could shrink, I don't care what I weigh. If I could wear like a size whatever,
Okay.
I would take a size 12 and weigh the exact same amount I weigh. Like, if for some reason my bones were made out of lead, but I could run up a mountainside because I was so healthy, I'll take it.
Okay. All right. That's cool. And
And I'm at a size 12.
muscle weighs more than fat by 15%.
Oh yeah, you proved me wrong on that. You said I was wrong about that.
No. I was teasing you. You were sorry, guys. So
I thought you were real. I was like,
we're gonna
okay.
hold fat and muscle and 1 pound here, 1 pound of meat here, and fat here. The meat would be 15% or more smaller in volume.
Okay, yeah.
Than
Because
the
it's
fat.
more dense.
Right, more dense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, I wasn't wrong, and you have it recorded here, folks.
Yeah.
So my big question is, why are you demonizing red meat? And if you want to feel better, you might want to try the carnivore diet for 90 days.
Yeah.
So I hope you all take care. God bless.
And we will see you next week.
Take care.
God bless.